Do you ever feel like you're on a treadmill? You're working hard, but you're not quite reaching your financial goals? You're juggling family, career, maybe even caring for aging parents, and it seems like there's never enough time or money to truly achieve the financial freedom you desire. You may be diligently saving, investing in the stock market, but you still feel a sense of uncertainty about your future. Well, what if the path to financial success isn't just about managing your money, but about tapping into your own entrepreneurial spirit? My guest today, Jessica Asbell, a luxury real estate broker, grew up in a family of 7 where money was tight. She learned the value of hard work from her immigrant parents, but also inherited a deep-seated desire for financial freedom. Jessica's journey took her from healthcare to insurance and finally to real estate, where she discovered the power of the grind, the relentless pursuit of her goals, fueled by a deep belief in her own ability to create her destiny. Stay tuned to hear Jessica's inspiring story and discover how she built a thriving business from scratch while balancing family and faith, and how you can unlock your own entrepreneurial potential to achieve financial success.
Welcome to Making Change with Your Money, a podcast that highlights the stories and strategies of women who experienced a big life transition and overcame challenges as they redefined financial success for themselves. Now here's your host, certified financial planner, Laura Rotter.
I'm so excited to have as my guest today, Jessica Asbell. Jessica is a luxury real estate broker associate with a focus on the premier markets of Naples and Southwest Florida. With a commitment to excellence and deep local knowledge, Jessica helps clients navigate the luxury real estate landscape, whether buying or selling exclusive properties. Jessica is married to her husband, Brian, who is also her business partner, and together they have 2 children. Welcome, Jessica, to the Making Change with Your Money podcast.
Thank you, Laura. Nice to be here.
So, Jessica, you're clearly working now with high net worth clients, I would assume. And I'm just curious, what was money like in your family growing up?
Oh, what was money like in my family growing up? We didn't have much of it. So my parents actually migrated from Haiti in the 1980s to Naples. So I was born and raised here. And growing up for 2 immigrants, trying to take care of a family of 7. I have 5 siblings. I'm the youngest. Yeah. I have 1 sister and I have 3 brothers. And financially, it was a struggle for my parents, but I look up to them so much because they really worked their butts off, and that meant 2 jobs at one time. And they did the best that they could to really provide for us. And we eventually moved out of our little small 800 square foot apartment. And
7 of you in an 800 square foot apartment.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we eventually moved out, and my mom and dad saved up enough money and they purchased a home for us over on the other side of Naples. And since then, my mom still lives there. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2021. But just growing up, we didn't have much, but they did so much with the little that they had. And it really taught me a lot. I look at them like, wow, if they could do that much. And I know time was different then, okay? Like,
Yes.
time was totally different in the 90s. You could do a lot with $20 in the 90s. I'm like, wow, they could do so much with the little that they had. And now just I'm providing for like my 2 kids. And like, I know I want to give them all this stuff and have them live this great lifestyle. My parents gave us the love. They gave us the more important things in life, right? The things that matter the most, right? With their presence, them being there with us. and instilling greatness in us. My father would all the time tell me how he wanted to be successful and all this stuff. And I find so much wealth in that. It's just my father and my mother just being examples for me. And I think with them pushing me to be as good as I possibly could be when I was younger. When I was younger, obviously I didn't pay attention to it, but as I got older, things change and you start to, oh man, I really should probably take my father's advice. And so I did that. And I work as hard as I can to provide for my children, but then I also give them the important things in life, which is the love and being present with them. And the rest follows. The rest just comes. Yeah.
Thing that I think it's wonderful that because you described that both your parents worked. I don't know if both of them worked two jobs, but at least one of them was working two jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And still they were able to be present
Yeah.
for you, which is not something that one can take for granted. So it was clearly
Yeah.
important to them to be around. And you said that your father gave you advice. I think the wording was to be good. What exactly was it
Yeah.
stressing? A work ethic? Was it stressing
Yeah. Yeah.
education? Was it stressing charity?
All of it.
I'm
All of it. He wanted us to be successful in life. And he would stress education a lot. He wanted us to complete high school, complete college, and do great things. My father, I had two graduations, one from high school, one from high school, one from my bachelor's degree, and one from my master's degree, so three. But my father was present at every single one because that's something he always wanted for our lives. And he would stress education, but then he would also stress like work ethic a lot too, and doing the right thing in life and how that comes back to you. But yeah.
I'm curious if a faith or church or played a role as you were growing up. Was that part of it?
That's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of it. My mother and my father, I never missed a Sunday.
Wow.
I never missed a Sunday. And it actually plays a huge like role in my life right now. And my children, like they go to church with me every Sunday. We serve at church, and that's really important to us. We put God first, and I really feel like if it wasn't for God, like where would I be? I don't know where I'd be. So it's really important for me that I teach that and I pass that on to my children because I think life is a lot better that way.
Agree. And community comes along with that. Community in a
Right.
sense that of course you're loved from your family, but perhaps you're loved by something greater than
Yes,
your family.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Jessica, you said that education was stressed. Were you expected to help pay for your education? How did that work out?
Well, my parents they didn't have much, so they couldn't pay for my education at all. I had to pay for my education. And I think I took out like a little loan when I first started college.
It didn't cost as much as it costs now.
No, no. And that was like a $3,000 loan. So it wasn't like anything
Exactly.
crazy. But then $3,000 is a lot to me. But no, there was never that expectation. Because they didn't have much, I was able to get some sort of assistance as well from the government. I think it's FAFSA. And I also, when I got my master's degree, I was a little bit older then too. I was married, just newly married, and that was the heavier ticketed item.
What did you get your master's in?
I have my master's in business administration.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah. I actually got it because I thought that I wanted to be a CEO of a hospital. I have a little bit of a background working at a hospital. I had a few positions there and I wanted to work my way up. And then I realized it's not really the environment for me. The
Mhm.
corporate world wasn't for me.
Or the hospital administration world was not.
No, no, it was not. It was not for me. So 7 years working there, and I thought
Wow.
it's what I wanted to do, but I changed my mind, and I was like, I need to find something else.
I guess what attracted you to that work and then what made you realize that it wasn't for you?
Well, I started working at the hospital when I was 19 years old. So it was actually like my first big girl job. So I was doing that, working in registration and worked my way up to, I was a secretary in the ER, and then where I actually met my husband. And then,
Was he a
um,
patient?
no, he wasn't. He's actually, so he was at the time, a firefighter.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, yeah. And he worked a second job at the hospital, just being an ER tech. And so that's how we met. But yeah, I worked my way up and I thought, you know what? I've been here for so long. I might as well do something that has to do with the hospital. I was like, I might as well just continue to work my way up. I have this experience. Why not? Let me not waste it. So that's why I said I was going to pursue a higher career in the hospital. And I learned a lot from I had some mentors there, like the CNO. I had great conversations with the CEO. And so I saw a lot of things going on in the background.
Mhm.
And it was good. It was good. It just wasn't, I realized later on, it just wasn't where I wanted to be ultimately.
So, what did you pivot towards?
Okay. I was sitting at home one day and I was like, I need to do something that's fulfilling because working 9 to 5 is not fulfilling for me. So, what can I do that I'm actually like giving back or giving to society? And I started just looking things up, and then an insurance agent popped up. And
Hmm.
then I was like, okay, health insurance agent, that has a little something to do with healthcare. That's still me thinking healthcare. I need to be healthcare. And so I did health insurance for a year and I was hustling. I was grinding so hard because I was selling Medicare policies. You don't necessarily have the beautiful houses to show off. So all you have is this Medicare policy. And I traveled a lot. It was a hustle, but that's where truly discovered the how much of an entrepreneur that I was. That's when I discovered it. I was like, wow, like I enjoy this.
Enjoyed the hustle and knowing that
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
you could actually help produce income using your hustle,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
drive.
Yes. It was like, wow. I never I knew like entrepreneurs like running your own business and stuff, but I never understood like you always think it's like some crazy like science, like it like what? Like you can never wrap your mind around it. But once I discovered that and I was like, this is what it is, like running your own business. It was hard. Don't get me wrong, it was really hard, but I enjoyed it and I enjoyed controlling my destiny. I
Yes.
think is the biggest thing, controlling my destiny. And I worked my butt off, and my husband was always like, you're always gone, but I still enjoyed what I was doing. And I could still realize, okay, if I do this today, in the future, I could be home with my kids,
Ah.
with my husband, and they could live the life that they want, and I can live the life that I want. We're ultimately just financially free. And I like that unknown. It's unknown, but it's also, I know if I put effort into what I'm doing, I know that I'm going to get something back from it. So I just work harder.
That's such a great message, Jessica, because again, that is the trade-off when you work for someone else or for an organization. There's more security, you know what the salary is, and no matter how hard you work, maybe you get a 3% raise, maybe you get a 5% raise. You're within a system that limits for different titles, etc. Whereas if you work for yourself, and I'm hearing, I think some of the drive may come from watching your parents and getting the message of a strong work ethic, but a sense of you're in control of your own destiny. And if you work harder, it translates into
Yes.
incomes.
Yes. Yeah.
So Medicare got boring after a while. What happened?
Oh, okay. Yes. We're talking about Medicare. So Medicare, I thought ultimately I was like, okay, I'm gonna have an insurance agency. And I think big. I'm like a big thinker.
Oh, I
Like
hear that.
when I get into something, I'm like, I think 10 times that. So I'm like, I'm gonna have an insurance agency. I'm gonna have this many people working for me. And I was like looking up how this works. And I already got the name picked out, even got the business, all this stuff. And I met Kathy. She was 75 years old. I was selling her Medicare. And she said, you should become a real estate agent. And I said, because Kathy was a realtor for many years.
Ah,
And I said, I don't know. And I asked her a couple questions about it, and she explained it. And she said, you could at least be like a referral agent, right? Because you're around a lot of people, you're in a lot of houses. Maybe they need additional needs. I said, that's a really good idea. I like to provide value. So yeah, that's a good idea. Then I went home, told my husband, and my husband's, I think you should get into that full time. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna do it. Like I already have my plans. I know what I'm doing. And sure enough, I got in, I finally got licensed, and I don't have to do anything. Like I can't just, okay, I'm just going to do this on the side and referrals. And I fully dove in. I just went into real estate, and that's when I started building the business from scratch. I hired my marketing girl. I got, how do I get these leads? Let me find out more. Let me educate myself. And it started consuming more of my time than I thought. And I was like, I just went real estate. I went fully real estate because I don't know, there was something about it for me that was just so enticing. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly what that is. It really could just be the grind because I'm a hard worker.
yeah.
So I really think maybe that's all it was because I enjoyed that with Medicare as well. But I really think that you can't do two things fully.
No.
So I had to pick one, and real estate was so new. And so I went after it. And then shortly after I got licensed, my husband got licensed. And we started our team. And here we are. Now we have an office in downtown Naples, and we've been doing it for 4 years, and we are doing really well. I definitely think I definitely owe that all to my parents' work ethic, like you said, and just them like always teaching us like never give up, keep going after what it is that you want, and stay determined. And I put that into literally everything that I do. So
I'm curious, before I hear more about exactly
yeah.
what it is you're doing, you mentioned the grind. What exactly do you mean by that? And how does the grind differ between Medicare and real estate? How is it
Yeah.
similar?
Yeah. So the grind to me is not giving up. The grind to me is doing those hard things,
Which
right? That you
are what? Is it researching? Is it reaching
Yes.
out to people and
It's
making
reaching out to people. It's reaching out to people. It's finding mentors. It's finding coaches and placing people where they need to be in your life and putting myself out there. I'm notorious for putting myself out there. And I think you may know that a little bit about me. But putting myself out there to get in front of people to help me get to the next level. And I put myself out there when I first got licensed into real estate, like maybe a couple of days I was licensed, and I called a guy that does luxury real estate in Fort Myers because I had met him through a mutual friend prior to me being fully licensed. And I reached out to him, and he was so nice. He took me on and under his wing, and I saw everything that happened at inspections. I was learning, and I would go to classes where I could learn the business, right? Because you're dealing with contracts, these things are legal. You want to make sure you're doing things the right way. And then I eventually found my real estate coach. And then I hired a real estate coach, maybe 2 weeks within real estate. And then it's just a lot of just parts and pieces that I feel like are important to success when you're getting into real estate. And I didn't wait. Some people might wait. Some people might say, okay, let me just see how this pans out. But I didn't wait. I got right into it. I was like, who can I hire? Who can I talk to? Who can I make this happen? Because this has to work. So to me, that's the grind, and it's the daily phone calls that I make. It's the cold calls that I make. People hanging up in your face when and not being so nice. Those are hard moments, but still being able to like pick yourself up and say, I'm gonna keep at it. I'm gonna keep at it, and I'm not gonna give up until someone says yes. And I did that for many years, and I still do it today. To me, that's the grind. And the difference between the grind of real estate and the grind of Medicare, I will say, because with Medicare, I travel a lot for real estate, but not nearly as much for Medicare, like I was for Medicare. Medicare, I reached out a lot to like retirement homes, and I
Mm.
reached out a lot to underprivileged like areas like Belglade, not too far from here, Pompano Beach, not too far from here, and just trying to make connections with people who might have that need for Medicare. And sometimes people want to take, how do I say this? It was a lot of I think it was harder to get people there, if I could say, if that makes sense. As opposed to real estate, I can make 100 phone calls a day, which I could probably do that with Medicare, but then it's hard to figure out who needs a Medicare policy, how
Right.
many, like when is that going to be up? When is that going to be up? For real estate, it's okay, the most equity? Okay, I'm going to call this area. Okay, I like this farm. I'm farming this area, so I'm going to farm this area. So I think the grind's different in different ways. Here, I can do it more comfortably. It's still hard, but I can do it more comfortably as opposed to the Medicare. It was a lot of, like I said, driving. I think I put 100,000 miles on my car.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I put 100,000 miles on my car. That was between both Medicare and also real estate, but that was just 3 years. That was 3
Interesting.
years.
So do you
But
get
yeah,
lists? How do you get, or do you just open, not that a phone book exists anymore, but how do you figure out who to call? Like you said, you're looking at areas that have a lot of equity, that
yeah.
probably have equity in their homes.
Yeah.
How else?
Yeah, so I have a farm here for people who are looking to sell. My farm is like downtown Naples. There's a few areas. There's Royal Harbor, there's Port Royal, there's Old Naples, the Moorings, Park Shore. So I focus more on those areas, and I do have my resources. I have title companies. I
That's
have
true.
great
Right.
people that I work with,
Right.
the title companies. They have their resources to give me, this is the equity that they have in their home, and these are the names. And then I have my sources and my systems to find their numbers. I'm giving away all my secrets.
So what's your favorite part of the work? I would assume the people you're talking to are very different than people you were talking to for Medicare.
Yeah,
On the other
yeah,
hand, people are people.
yeah. I think my favorite part is relationship. And that's both for Medicare and for real estate. I think any business, relationship is number one. And so I'm really strong in like relationship building, and I like to really understand people to the core. I'm not a very like face value person. I mean, I guess I am in a way, but I like to dig deep. I like to know your needs. I like to know your wants. I like to know what you had for lunch. So I like to know people. And I've gained some really good friendships with people over the years, my clients, and they keep coming back because our relationships are really strong. And I think that's number one with any business. And I think that's something that's helped me a lot in this business. I enjoy talking to people, and I just enjoy, because I enjoy it. It's easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a big part of the work that I do also, which is really getting to know people and who they are and what they want. And I would say that's probably for me the favorite part, my favorite part of the work that I do. Do you find, and this is probably as much a question for you as just in general, people who deal in real estate, are you dealing more with buyers, more with sellers? Is it even? Does it depend
Mhm.
on the period of time?
It depends on the period of time, that's for sure. The market was very different a couple years ago, 2020, 2021, even 2022. We were really buyer heavy then, and not enough inventory. And now it's to the point where people are selling their houses, but there's more inventory than there are buyers.
Oh, interesting.
That's how it is right now. And we have our season here. So season is October to the beginning of May. And that's when all the snowbirds come down,
Wow.
and that's when they're ready to buy. So we'll see what happens. Been picking up, but right now I will say we're missing a few buyers. We need more buyers.
And
But
mortgage rates, I'm sure, have something to do with
oh
that.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah,
It's all
definitely.
right. So it's interesting. It's very different if I think about where I live. it's driven by younger families who want to move to the suburbs. And so it's tied to the school year, more like you want to get the family in before the school year starts, but you're much more tied to the weather.
Yes,
And people
exactly.
are traveling to
Yeah,
Florida. Do you prefer dealing with one versus the other, a buyer rather than a seller?
I don't. I think it's all just what are your needs? And I think that I just like to get down to the bottom of whatever that person needs. Do you need to get out of here? And do you need to be in Ohio by this time? Or do you need to buy by this time? I think whatever their needs are, I'm wanting to serve whoever. I have no preference. I know some people are like, I like sellers or I like buyers. I really think I like to get out of my office. So I like to drive around with buyers sometimes. But then it's nice to also have a listing, but that's also coming with the grind because you have to be out there and you have to get it sold as well. I'm neutral. I'm neutral.
Okay, thank you. So if I were looking, it's interesting. I have in my circle of acquaintances, I would say more than friends, not an insignificant amount of people that do go to Florida for the winter. I guess what you would refer to as snowbirds. I was
Yeah.
surprised by that. In my mind, it
Love
was
it.
stuff for like very old people who want to eat dinner at 5, but these are not necessarily that. But so what do you help people think about potential, again, buyers if they're contacting you?
Yeah. So I think the question is, what are you looking for? Do you like the water? Do you like to boat? Do you like to fish? Do you like the beach? Do you like to golf? Like what amenities are you looking for? Because then that's going to determine what the best location is for you in Southwest Florida. Maybe it's not Naples, maybe it's Fort Myers. That might be a better option for you. Budgeting is also a huge thing too. Naples can be more pricier than Fort Myers, and Fort Myers might be pricier than Cape Coral. Budget, number one, and then what is it that you like to do? And also, is a single family important to you or is a condo important to you? Do you want to be in a community? Do you not want to be in a community? Communities are going to have restrictions. So those are the things that I think that I try to help my buyers understand before we go out and look for property.
And is there a certain price range that you work within? Not too high, not too low.
Yeah, I help anybody. I've done a $6 million property this year. I'm currently working up a $8 million property. However, I have a buyer that wants to purchase a $300,000 condo. So we just assist our clients wherever they would like to be, but I don't have a max. I don't have a cap on the max.
Okay. And you don't have a floor on the minimum either, it sounds like.
No, we have our team. It's a small team, but we have our team. So whether it's myself, I know it's going to be somebody good taking care of them. Regardless, we divide that way as well. We'll never be overwhelmed.
I am not surprised that you have a team. I would imagine that you have a vision to even grow the team. Is that correct?
Yeah. I would love to have a brokerage one day. And I think that's probably something in the plans within the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah.
So that sort of begs the question, Jessica, as we get close to the end of this conversation, which is how are you defining success for yourself? And when I ask that question, it's about both financial success, which certainly seems important to you, as well as just success in general. Like, how do you
Yeah.
define that now?
Yeah. I think the way that I define success is when I live the life that I've always wanted to live, which is I have enough investment property and I have my brokerage and I can be more present for my children. I can be more present with the family. We can go on vacation. We can enjoy each other. And I think that for me is probably the way that I would define success is I am ultimately where I wanted to be in life with my career. And financial success, I don't think I have a number in mind. Is that what you're thinking?
No, and actually, it's to tell you the truth. And
Did I answer it?
I'm obviously asking you, and you're younger
Okay.
than a lot of the people I interview, but certainly, like speaking for myself, as I've gotten older, I'm more and more aware of just enoughness as opposed to aspiring to more. But I'm at a different age than you are. I think even in the way that the first way in which you answered did define it, like in your mind, I'm assuming when you say you have income producing properties, that you
Yeah.
imagine something that you're not there yet. Is
I'm
that?
not there yet. I'm not there yet. And the way that I define success is if I can have these incoming producing properties and I can provide that financial freedom more so for our family, then and step away a little bit from like the real estate space. I love real estate so much and I always want to be a part of it in some way, some form or another by having a brokerage. But if I could step away in a way, then to me, that's success.
Thank you for sharing your definition. And I would just, as an older person, just say to you that sometimes we never know when it's enough and you never feel like you're there, because when you get to what you imagine is success,
I hear you.
yeah, speak, you could always want more. And when we started this conversation and you talked about your family of origin, asked many times just that your parents were present, that church played a big role,
Yeah.
and to never forget that, because we can always place the bar or the
Right.
finish line farther and farther away. And so to keep in mind what I think you said at the beginning, what's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Definitely.
you're certainly a woman who is driven and strives, so I don't see you stepping back anytime soon.
No, I don't see that for myself either.
So now, as we're towards the end, Jessica, is there something else you want to make sure you say to people who might be listening and said, I am looking for property in Florida, like what resources you might have available and how
Yeah.
they might get in touch with you?
Yeah, my team, we've actually put together two really resourceful ebooks. And with those ebooks, one is for selling and one is for buying in Southwest Florida. And it provides a roadmap to the process of selling and buying in Florida. And it gives you a little bit of a breakdown of the different areas too. So that's also something that I think would be really resourceful for people if they're just thinking about buying here, or even if they live here, they have a property here, the second home, they're thinking about selling. So that is going to be available on our website. And our website is asbelteam.com. And you
That
can
was
find
shown. It's, yeah.
so is
So
that.
I will put your website in the show.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, but yep, you can find it on our website and it's very resourceful. And if you ever have any questions, please just reach out to me. Love to assist you further.
Okay, great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being my guest, Jessica.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks for listening to Making Change with Your Money. Certified financial planner Laura Rotter specializes in helping people just like you organize, clarify, and invest their money in order to support a life of purpose and meaning. Go to www.trueabundanceadvisors.com/workbook for a free resource to help you on your journey. Disclaimer, please remember that the information shared by this podcast does not constitute accounting, legal, tax, investment, or financial advice. It's for information purposes only. You should seek appropriate professional advice for your specific information.